They're the lonely sentinels of the asphalt, the lifeblood of the nation, moving through a world that's fast asleep, but lately it feels like something else is moving in the darkness with them. Out on the forgotten stretches of America's highways, truckers are becoming the first responders to a quiet, terrifying reality of abandonment. This is the untold story of the children they find and the haunting mysteries they leave behind. The stories you're about to hear are not for the faint of heart. They are a chilling reminder of the secrets buried just beneath the pavement, waiting for the headlights of a lone 18-wheeler to cut through the darkness and reveal the truth. So, turn down the lights and settle in. And if you find yourself captivated by the mysteries of the open road, consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. Hit the notification bell so you can never miss an unsettling tale from the world's darkest corners. Now let's begin our journey. The American highway system is a modern marvel. Over 4 million miles of concrete and asphalt connecting every corner of the country. For most of us, it's just a way to get from point A to point B. A blur of exit signs and rest stops on the way to vacation or a family gathering. But for the men and women who live on these roads, the truckers, this network is something else entirely. It's their home, their workplace, and their world. They see the country in a way no one else does. Witnessing quiet sunrises over desert mesas and lonely, rain-slicked nights in the industrial heartland, they are the constant, silent observers of this vast, sprawling landscape. And that's why they are the ones who find them. They're the ones who see what everyone else misses. The flicker of movement in a ditch, a small shape huddled near a guardrail, a story that begins where another one has tragically ended. In recent years, a disturbing pattern has emerged. A pattern of truckers discovering children abandoned and alone on the very arteries designed to carry us safely home. Some of these children are found alive, tiny survivors of unimaginable ordeal. Others are found only after the road has claimed their story, leaving behind a cold case for detectives and a haunting memory for the driver who made the discovery. This phenomenon blurs the line between tragic reality and chilling folklore. For every documented case, there are dozens of whispered stories, tales shared over crackling CB radios about spectral figures and ghostly encounters on moonless nights. Are these just campfire stories for the modern age? Or are they the echoes of real tragedies? Tonight, we're not just telling horror stories. We're exploring a chilling intersection of fact and legend, trying to understand why the guardians of the highway are so often the first to encounter its lost soul. We'll dive into the documented cases that have shaken communities and the enduring legends that refuse to die. To ask the question, what is really happening out on our highways? Our first story isn't a legend. It's a terrifying recent reality. A nightmare that unfolded under the wrath of a hurricane. In early July of 2024, Hurricane Beryl lashed the Gulf Coast with punishing rain and wind. A 25-year-old woman named Elia Jack was traveling with her two young children somewhere along a desolate, stormy, swept stretch of Interstate 10 in Louisiana. A decision was made that's impossible to understand. The children were left behind for hours, maybe even a full day. They were alone, exposed to the elements of a tropical storm. The first discovery was the most tragic. On July 8th, the body of 4-year-old legend Jack was found in the water behind a rest stop. A small life extinguished, abandoned to the fury of the storm. The news was horrifying, a gut-wrenching headline that left a community in shock. But the story wasn't over. The next day, about 9 miles down that same interstate, a truck driver named Reginald Walton was finishing his pre-trip inspection, a routine he performed thousands of times. As he scanned his surroundings, his eyes caught something that defied all logic. In a water-filled ditch near mile marker 10, something was moving. It was small, struggling, and impossible. It was a child. The driver had found a 1-year-old boy, King Trail, the younger brother of the child found deceased the day before, crawling alone in the ditch. He was alive. Imagine that moment. You're a professional driver, your mind on mileage and deadlines, Suddenly, you're confronted with the most vulnerable form of humanity, a baby, abandoned in a storm ravaged ditch. Walton didn't just stumble upon a victim, he became a rescuer. He pulled the child from the water, wrapped him up, and called for help. His voice surely trembling with shock. The child was alive, but his brother was gone, and their mother was missing. Authorities launched a multi-state search, and Elia Jack was eventually located and arrested in Mississippi. She was charged with second-degree murder and cruelty to a juvenile, among other charges. The case sent a shockwave through the country, but for the trucking community, it was something more. It was a confirmation that their lonely vigil on the road sometimes forces them to become reluctant heroes. The 1-year-old boy survived because a trucker was there to see him. But the question that haunts that stretch of I-10 is, how many others aren't seen? The horror on Interstate 10 in Louisiana is a modern story, but for every child who is found, there are others who become permanent mysteries. Their stories absorbed by the miles of empty road. The highways have been keeping these secrets for decades. Sometimes it takes more than a lifetime for them to give them back. Let's travel back in time. The year is 1960. The highways are newer. The world feels different, but the secrets they hide are just as dark. On July 31st, in the Arizona desert near Congress, a man searching for rocks made a horrifying discovery. Partially buried in the sand were the remains of a young child. She was estimated to be between 3 and 6 years old. Her toenails were painted bright red. Who was she? How did she get there? Despite national news coverage, no family came forward. The community, heartbroken, named her Little Miss Nobody and raised money to give her a proper funeral. For years, that's who she was, a ghost of the highway, a symbol of the ultimate vulnerability. Her case grew cold, a file collecting dust, a story left unfinished on the side of the road. Decades passed. Drivers on these lonely Arizona highways had no idea they were passing a place where a soul was lost. But the mystery never completely died. In 2022, nearly 62 years after her discovery, advanced DNA testing and genetic genealogy finally gave her a name, Sharon Lee Gallegos. It turned out she was a 4-year-old girl who had been abducted 10 days before her body was found. Snatched from her grandma's yard in New Mexico over 500 miles away, investigators at the time had even considered her as a possibility, but ruled it out due to a mistaken estimation of the remains' age. For 62 years, she was a nameless mystery. Now she has her name back, but her abductors have never been identified. Sharon's story is a chilling testament to the fact that these roads don't just carry people, they carry secrets, and sometimes those secrets stay buried for a lifetime. But sometimes the stories truckers tell aren't about what they find in the daylight or even in a police file. They're about who they encounter in the dark. These aren't cases you'll find in official reports. They're whispers on the CB radio, legends passed from one generation of drivers to the next. These stories suggest that some lost souls never leave the road at all. And in one corner of South Texas, there's a place where the truckers and travelers alike swear the ghosts of lost children are still at work. Just south of San Antonio, Texas, there's a railroad crossing where Shane Road meets the track. To most, it's just another rural intersection, but to those who know the legend, this place is known as the Ghost Tracks. And for decades, it's been the epic center of one of America's most enduring ghost stories, a story truckers have been telling for a long time. The legend says that back in the 1930s or 40s, a school bus full of children stalled right on these tracks. As a train bore down on them, it slammed into the bus, tragically killing the driver and 10 children. It was a horrific accident, a scar on the community's soul. But according to the legend, the story didn't end there. The spirits of the children remain, forever bound to the place where their lives were cut short. But these aren't vengeful spirits. They're said to be guardians. The legend states that if you park your car over the tracks and put it in neutral, your vehicle will begin to move on its own, seemingly pushed uphill, away from the tracks and out of harm's way. The ghostly children, it said, are pushing you to safety, ensuring no one suffers their fate. To prove it, people say to sprinkle baby powder on your bumper. Afterwards, you will allegedly find small, inexplicable handprints. Now imagine you're a trucker late at night. You stall on those tracks, the cab is dark, the only sound is the ticking of the cooling engine. Then you feel a slight jolt. Your multi-ton rig, impossible, begins to creep forward until you clear of the tracks. This is a story whispered between drivers for years, and an encounter with the helpful ghost of the San Antonio crossing. While historians have found no official record of such a crash and nearby street names like Bobby Allen Way are just a coincidence, the story's power is undeniable. It became a piece of America's mythology, kept alive on the dark roads where truckers travel. For the drivers who claim to have felt that unexplainable push, it's not just a legend, it's a chilling, first-hand encounter with the lost souls of the highway. From the real-life horror of a child abandoned in a hurricane to a cold case that took 6 decades to solve, and into the realm of folklore where ghostly children are said to push vehicles to safety, one unsettling theme emerges. The highways of America are where some of our most tragic stories unfold. They are the final resting places for secrets and the silent witnesses to unspeakable acts. So why is it always the truckers who find them? The answer is simple as it is profound. Because they are always there. They are the permanent residents of a transient world. They drive the lonely hours when everyone else is asleep, their headlights cutting through a darkness that hides so much. They see the forgotten corners, the desolate rest stops, and the overgrown ditches that commuters speed past without a second glance. They are the lonely sentinels, and sometimes that means they must bear the burden of discovery. Each discovery, whether it ends with a rescue or a cold case, becomes another story, another layer added to the mythology of the road. It becomes a warning, a memory, a ghost that rides along with every driver who ever felt a chill on a deserted stretch of blacktop. So the next time you see the distant lights of a lone trucker on a dark highway, remember what they might have seen. Remember the stories they carry, not in their cargo, but in their memories. And remember, the lost souls they seem forever destined to find. If you have a story from the road, a chilling encounter, or an unexplained event you think I should hear, share it in the comments below. Your story could be featured in a future video. And if you want to continue exploring these unsettling tales, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And thank you for watching, and stay safe out there.